Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Friday, and all of our guests today, including Tim Saunders, standing by, brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Elevate your corporate events at the Bayside Oceanfront Resort, Vancouver Island's premier destination for exceptional business functions. With 59 boutique rooms and full-service on-site catering, your team can focus on success while their professional banquet team takes care of the rest. Call 250-248-8333 or visit us at BaysideResortParksville.com to book your event. Today, Canucks Flyers tonight at Rogers Arena. Here to talk about the Philadelphia Flyers. Radio play-by-play since 1997, Tim Saunders. Thanks for doing this. Tim, how are you?
Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Good. Very well. Have you been in Vancouver like the rest of the Vancouver area, like the rest of the Flyers have been since Tuesday?
Yeah, we got in early this week. Team spent some time up in Whistler for a day, did a little team bonding, and ready to go. It's kind of a weird training camp the way the schedule worked out, because the Flyers have been over a week since they played their last preseason game, and that last preseason game was against the Devils. The Devils' big team was already in Prague, so it was a game against a Utica minor league team. So they didn't really get to use that final preseason game quite the way they had envisioned they would, so they got to ratchet it up pretty quick here tonight.
Is this a positive, you think, for the Flyers, Tim, waiting this long, hanging out in Vancouver before their first regular season game?
I don't think it's ever a positive. In fact, you're playing a team that's already played their first game. First games are kind of sloppy, as Vancouver found out. We're seeing a lot of goals scored in these early games around the league. So I do think it's a bit of an advantage that Vancouver's played once. Whether that goes by the wayside after one period or if it's the whole game, I guess we'll find out.
Flyers have missed the playoffs, what is it, Tim, four straight years. How much confidence is there in what Daniel Briere and John Tortorella are up to?
Huge. I think it's been years before. I think the general consensus is in Philadelphia is finally the right people are in place from top to bottom. They're doing it the right way. You guys know John Tortorella a little bit. He is the perfect guy to, it's an overused statement to say change the culture, but that's what he kind of did in the first couple of years. This is year 3 under Tortorella. Year 1 was kind of addition by subtraction, kind of get the right personalities in the dressing room. Year 2, last year, was more about kind of setting that standard of what is expected and how they want to play. And now year 3 is going to be big for Torts, and obviously the playoffs are out there. That's the prize at the end of the stick. But it's more than just about making the playoffs this year. They want to continue to progress. It's possible that they don't make the playoffs, and it could still be a positive year, just depending on how the rest of it plays out.
Well, Tim, Matvei Michkov, boy, this guy, what a great preseason. The Flyers got him over from Russia. Some said he might be in Russia for another couple of years. That was great for them to get him over. How great was he in the preseason, and what are your expectations for him?
You know, it's funny. You find yourself trying to temper expectations a little bit, and it's really hard to do with a guy like Michkov because he was that good in the preseason. He led the team in scoring, had 4 goals and 7 points in 4 games played. He was really good. And it's not just that he can be a goal scorer. He's got great skill, great playmaking abilities. He's going to make everybody around him better. I think he automatically becomes the most skilled Flyer on the team. And that's hard to say about a 19-year-old kid that hasn't yet played an NHL game. It's going to take him a while. He's not going to jump into the league and become a 50-goal scorer. So I think it's going to require some patience, but they've surrounded him with the right people that I think it's going to be really exciting to watch.
Well, and I love Tortorella saying, I'm not taking his skill out of the way. He's going to let him be skillful. And you know where he's going to be needed is the power play, because the Flyers' power play last year, dead last. I mean, he should help there.
There's a news flash. It's been, I think, 3 years in a row that they've struggled on power play. So, you look at last year's team. They surprised a lot of clubs in the NHL last year, especially against the best teams on the road. They had some ungodly record, like 7-1-1 against top 10 teams or teams ahead of them in the standings on the road. I don't think they're going to sneak up on teams this year, but if you look at last year's club, you have even a marginally good power play, and you're probably in the playoffs. So that there's no question that that's the first area that they've got to be better at, and I think with Michkov there, they're almost inevitably going to be better.
Yeah. Talking with Tim Saunders, Flyers and Canucks tonight, Rogers Arena. Back to Torts for a second, Tim. You talked about him spending time in Vancouver. It wasn't a long time, but he did spend a season here. What's he been like to deal with for you?
He's been phenomenal. It's all about, the team, and as I said, that first year was about kind of gauging the personalities in the dressing room, and maybe there was some combinations that didn't really work. Some good people ended up leaving the organization, but I think they used their free agent money, and they didn't really do a lot of it this past offseason, but the year before, they kind of backfilled and found important guys like Ryan Paling or a Garnet Hathaway. So they spent wisely. They're still not probably ready to go big in free agency, but they've got a lot of draft picks next year. Next year's supposed to be a really good draft. I think they're doing it the right way, and Torts, I think, is the perfect fit for this team right now.
Tim, were you there when Torts had Guy Goudreau on the ice at Flyers practice?
Yeah, it's happened several times. He had not met Guy, even though he obviously is a big guy in the community. The whole Goudreau family has been for a long time. And he's a hockey coach. Guy's been a hockey coach his whole life. And what a class move by Tortorella to recognize that might be good for Guy, therapeutic for Guy to get on the ice. And he's been surrounded by the whole hockey community in South Jersey and Philadelphia area.
Is it true that he was telling Torts what to do in that first practice?
He was giving him some crap about pushing guys too hard, I think, when he had 3 lines on the ice and Torts was looking for more. So Guy said, come on, how hard do you want him to go? You got 3 lines out here.
And one more, Travis Konecny. There's a connection to Vancouver. He's Bull Horvat's cousin going back with Bull.
Second cousin.
Second cousin. There you go. What does he mean to that hockey club?
Well, I think he's a bit of the heartbeat of this team. Certainly their most dynamic player, and what he did. Look at the Flyers shorthanded numbers last year. They led the league with 16 shorthanded goals, and he was the catalyst for that. He kind of fits what Torts wants this team to be. They scored more in transition last year than they have in probably a decade. And it's got to start with good defense. You want to, create turnovers, but then he wants them to go. And Konecny's the perfect fit for that. He can be hard to play with sometimes because he can be all over the place. But I think he's maybe one of the key straws that stir the drink in Philly.
Tim, thanks so much for this. We really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed Vancouver, and we'll see what happens tonight.
Not a prettier city that we come to. It's gorgeous here, and look forward to the game.
Just don't buy a house. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.